pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the minutes show that all are present. Verification of proper public notice.
The meeting was properly noticed and published.
Okay. Public comment on anything that's not on the agenda. Tim, you had something you want to step up to the mic?
Everybody, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Tim Scott. I'm the First Assistant Chief in the Cambridge Volunteer Fire Department. And also, although technically not a member, I do help out quite a bit with the EMS as well. I'm here to talk to you about a letter that everybody probably received last Friday from the Citizens for Responsible Cambridge Fire and EMS Station, or referendum, I'm not sure. Off the top of my head which one it is. I'm just going to go through this as quickly as I can, line by line. There's a lot of material to cover. But we have some issues with some of the things they are representing as fact. Starts out great. Their mission statement, if that is their mission, I think it's a wonderful mission. I would say that they are failing at it, though. $6.5 million fire and EMS referendum is correct. As you recall, we had to have a design study done, a needs survey done, and then come up with the price so that there was a price that we could have for a referendum. So that's what led up to that. What is the referendum for? That is also correct. We do take this is probably splitting hairs, but they refer to a new fire and EMS station for the Cambridge Fire District. I guess we classify that as a remodel of our existing facility and an addition. There was a time when we were discussing a whole new, entirely standalone facility, but through some excellent work between Keller and the commission, we were able to use our existing facility completely, every single square foot of it. We won't have to change the footprint. There's no foundation work on the existing facility. That's all very, very cost saving. Then they go on to ask, what does a $6.5 million plan include? And they start out tripling the size of the current buildings. Well, that's about right. It's about triple size of the one building. We're keeping the detached garages the same. 15 bathrooms, technically correct, although 2 of those bathrooms are off of the apparatus bay. They're in what is a decon area. It's important because it keeps the carcinogens and pathogens that are on our rigs and on our gear and stuff in the apparatus bay and in the decon area. You need a place to clean up. If you need to use a restroom, get right back on a truck wherever you need that place. That keeps the living quarters, kitchen area, and everything clean and sanitary. Right now we do not have that option, and we're kind of taking our chances in that regard. The rest are the 8 bathrooms for the 8 individual bedrooms. There are 4 public restrooms. Those are in place of a traditional 2-hole male and female restroom. And then there's the unisex restroom off of the lounge area. All the restrooms are unisex. It's pretty much become a standard practice. Doesn't make much sense to have 2 designated male sites in a male-only bathroom when you have a room full of women, or vice versa, to have female bathrooms when you have a room full of men. Traditionally, though this is slowly changing, there's a large quantity of men and a few women at the station at a given time, and it's, you stack up, you get a call, and it's a structure fire, it's going to be a long one. We're human. We're smart enough to use the bathroom quickly before we head out the door. And all these multiple reasons, it's a good idea, we feel. They refer to the 8 bedrooms, which are really nothing more than dorm rooms with an individual bathroom, as suites. They state that each suite includes a single bed, a closet, dresser, lounge chair, TV, private bath, and shower. Well, as we've discussed from the start, you're getting a bed, a chair, and a closet. The Keller made a conceptual video where they attempted to show the station as you drive through. They chose to add those in there. there will not be individual TVs in every bedroom. We can't afford that. We're sharing air mass up until 2 years ago. We don't have that kind of budget. We don't spend your money like that. And it was pointed out, and they chose to keep going. Physical workout facility, all true. That is an absolute necessity. There is not a fire department I can think of off the top of my head in the area that does not have a physical workout facility. I've got stats here from the NFPA. Beating cause fatalities, overexertion, stress, medical, 26 fatalities, percentage-wise, 54%. Nature of injuries, sudden cardiac death, 22 fatalities. So of those 26 firefighters that died, 22 died from sudden cardiac death. There's only one way to combat that. That's to be in shape so you can handle stress. Large community lounge and recreation room. There is no recreation room. And there's a lounge that's appropriately sized. In fact, some would say if you have the fire department there and you have enough people on standby, that lounge is going to fill up pretty quick. It's an appropriate size. Conference meeting room for up to 72. That is, well, the plan states 69, but 72 we don't really care, that's fine. But you take 30 active members or 10 active honorary, puts fire department at 40. You take the active EMS members with their volunteers, that's about 20. If we have a joint training session, which we have not been able to do in our station for over 10 years because of the volume and the size constraints, you're at 60 people right there. You put in a couple of presenters, you're in the low 60s. You take up some table space for a couple of props like a CPR mannequin or two, and you're already out of space. It doesn't take long to use that room. Plus, that facility gives us the ability to hold more MATC trainings, and more MATC trainings mean more young, eager firefighters and EMTs coming into our station. While they're there, we can hit them up, say, hey, look, we got an open room for you to sleep. If you want to intern with us, come down here and volunteer. We could use some help. You know, it's standard. I'd say Sun Prairie, Fitchburg, Oregon, Maple Bluff, Monona, McFarland, Stoughton, all are able to do that right now. Not Cambridge. Lake Mills. Right now our firefighters go on to Lake Mills. Solar energy system. So, solar energy system is on the table right now. If it is not cost effective, we'd never do it. You know, it's like, we're not going to throw away taxpayer dollars on an idea. But what I can tell you is Keller is doing Fort Atkinson's fire station right now. They have a solar array that is installed on the roof. They specified they wanted American-made panels. And that solar system is projected to provide 65% of their electrical needs on peak days. That's the hot days of August and July, and 100% of their electrical needs on typical days. The payback on that solar system, 5 to 7 years. So when we get to that second part, the actual firm design phase, if the numbers bear out, we'd be fools not to put a solar energy system on the station. But at this point, it is merely discussion. And then they refer to large office areas. Well, there are 3 private offices. We look into the future there where we're picturing an overarching chief of both fire and EMS after this. We're predicting they're going to merge. Then you have a battalion chief for fire and a battalion chief for EMS. As an executive officer now, I can tell you, we need a door that we can close, that people cannot hear what we're talking about in the next room. We talk about personnel, we talk about victims, we talk about all kinds of things that just does not need to be open to the public or even to other firefighters and EMTs. And then we need a secure place where I can lock my personnel records up and nobody else is going to get in there without me knowing. Right now, I carry all my fire department stuff on a laptop that I take to and from the station with me. And I'm not the only one doing that. We have 20-some people working at any given time just on the fire department that all require at some point a workspace. And right now we have seating for 3 in our executive office, and then we take over the radio room. And there's seating for 2 there. And if you've ever been down on a Monday night, and I encourage you all to come down when the pandemic lifts and see what it's like right now, it's chaos. It's very hard to do work. All right, we're gonna move on to how does the Cambridge Fire and EMS station compare to other facilities? Now, they have 3 columns. The first column is us, and it's pretty much spot on, except they refer to 2 full and 1 small kitchen. What we're talking about is a commercial style kitchen, which is what we have now in the station. And it's about the same size. We're reusing the same appliances. It's just gonna have a better flow to it, and it's gonna move over in the building. Then we're talking about a residential kitchen off the lounge, which is what the EMS has right now across the street in an apartment building. So we're not adding any kitchen to any more than we already have. And if you have EMTs on duty and you have a crew prepping food for one of our fundraisers or a training night or a business night, you need to be separate. We can't have EMTs come banging into the commercial kitchen to make up their ramen noodles when we're holding the class. You need separate. You just have to do it. Bathrooms, 15, that is true. Bedrooms, 8, sleeps 8, well, it's 8. And if they were paying attention, they would know that the future plans for that, if we need to, we can go to bunk beds and sleep 16. Meeting rooms accommodates up to 72 people. And we've already discussed that's true. I have no comment on the population numbers because I have not researched that. As far as the number of volunteers, they're way low on the fire side. We're at about 40 if you count active honorary. They have no EMS volunteers factored in there. I don't know where they came up with that number. Lake Mills Fire Department, Deer Grove Fire Department have no comment, but I think it's a remarkable coincidence that we all have exactly the same amount of volunteers. Okay, then they compare us to the Lake Mills Fire Department. And their population, I'm going to assume that's correct, but it's an unfair comparison because there's also Lake Mills EMS. This station houses both the fire and the EMS. The EMS, Lake Mills EMS, is in a separate facility. So when you factor in the two, you have 1 commercial kitchen. It is a bit smaller than one we have now at the Lake Mills Fire Department, and 2 residential kitchens. Now obviously the only reason there's 2 residential kitchens is you have 1 over at the Lake Mills EMS facility. So Lake Mills Fire Department, what I'm getting at is they already have a commercial style and a residential style kitchen in their station to go with their bedrooms that serve only fire. And they have, no overnight thing, nor do we at this point. They have bathrooms between the 2. Lake Mills EMS has 3 bedrooms and a male and female bathroom. Lake Mills Fire Station has 4 bathrooms. By sex, they have 2 unisex. Nope, I gotta double check that. I apologize, this is a lot of information. Challenge of the pandemic. Okay. So Lake Mills Fire has 1 commercial, 1 residential kitchen. They have, Lake Mills Fire has 1 unisex bathroom, 2 bathrooms by sex, and a full unisex bath off the residential area. So if you want to compare those restrooms at Lake Mills Fire to ours, you take the unisex one, you split them into 2, or the 2 by sex, you split them into 2 unisex bathrooms. They have 2, 4, 6, 7 bathrooms just in their fire department. You go over to Lake Mills EMS, they have 2 full bathrooms, which are by sex. That again gets you up to pretty close to what we have. 11, 12. Deer Grove Fire and EMS. Well, there is no such thing as Deer Grove Fire and EMS. So you have Deer Grove EMS, which is a service, standalone EMS service that serves both, well, for the sake of argument, Cottage Grove and Deerfield, okay? Then you have the Cottage Grove Fire Department, and you have the Deerfield Fire Department. Deer Grove EMS has facilities in both stations, okay? You following that? So, kitchens. In Cottage Grove Station, they just have the 1 commercial kitchen. And it's been a while since I've been there. I'm going to say it's a little bit bigger than ours, but I'm not positive, okay? Deerfield has one commercial style, you know, a cooking kitchen like ours, and they also have a residential kitchen with their sleeping quarters. Bedrooms. Cottage Grove Station has 4 bedrooms. They are all dedicated to EMS. Deerfield Station also has 4 bedrooms, all dedicated to EMS, and their 4 bedrooms have 4 individual bathrooms. Covered kitchens, meeting rooms. They have Lake Mills, and at 50, I'm going to say that's true. Cottage Grove, yeah, that's probably about right. So their meeting rooms are accommodating 50. But again, they're not doing joint meetings at this point. Okay, that was probably the most lengthy, boring part of it. Okay, then we're on to the cost to you, the taxpayer. And this is a point of frustration with everybody in fire and EMS, not just the citizens group that we're talking about here. But in October, at the request of the Village of Cambridge, the Fire Commission hired Baird and Company to calculate the costs of the referendums per $100,000 of assessed valuation. Now Cambridge, like, they were sticklers with it. I don't blame them. You know, they're trying to be stewards of the tax dollar, and they wanted an accurate number. They didn't trust the numbers the commission had come up beforehand. So that was done. And those numbers were published in October. I don't even know if I brought those with, but I think Cambridge was 61, Christiana 60, Town of Lake Mills 4, Oakland about 50, Rockdale about 66, right?
Right.
Okay, so that has been around since October, but the Cambridge News, everybody is referring to this range of estimates that went from 45 to 90, which was done way back. The $90 estimate was done when we were talking about a station on a remote site in a new development when Keller was first before we had even chosen a final design build firm. The $45, we just did ratepair and extrapolation based on the school referendum for the PAC because we had no other information to go on at that point. But they've had firm numbers in their hands for 6 months now, and they're still throwing out the 45 to 90, trying to make the taxpayer believe that we're uncertain. We don't know what we're talking about, and this thing is a big boondoggle way. We don't even know what it's going to cost. And those are estimates based on 2020's equalized valuation. In 2023, when they start paying for this thing, it could be different. But they're just estimates at this point. And then, as you probably know, Cambridge went ahead and hired their own consultant anyhow, and they came up with a slightly lower number, 5877 if I recall. Service calls, and then they state the increased assessment does not include increased operating costs, brand new equipment, and then they refer to this non-existent ladder truck, which is much like the non-existent fireplace that we've been going round and round about since this whole thing started. So, there has been discussion about the possible need for a ladder truck due to the construction of the distillery. And I can honestly tell you that I will never see, as an active firefighter, a ladder truck in that station. Okay? And I can honestly tell you that a responsible fire department would probably look at a ladder truck and realize that they're going to have to give up an engine, because a ladder truck also serves as an engine. The important thing to know about this right now is that those distilleries, the rick houses, are going to be 7 stories. And we've got a firefighting plan, we've got mutual aid coming in, but if it ever happens, it's going to be a multi-day event, and those aerials are going to be not so much worried about the rick house that's on fire, but worrying about preventing the fire from spreading to other rick houses, okay? Because we've got a containment drag system figured in, we've got a plan. So any reasonable person cannot expect a bunch of volunteer firefighters with a 3-story ladder to be able to protect a 7-story rick house. I don't care how strong you are, you're not going to hold a hand line, let alone stay out of the collapse zone. So it's going to require aerials from Stoughton. Jefferson would be our first aerial, and we'll probably have to grab one from somebody else, but it won't be from this part of the county because we can't take every area that's next door to us, right? And I think it's reasonable to assume that at some point our mutual aid departments are going to have a problem with them providing these $1 million pieces of equipment to protect a structure like that. So with that said, it is reasonable to assume that a ladder truck will have to be discussed in earnest at some point. That point is a long way off. The distillery project is a 20-year project. You know, they're talking fast, and they are moving fast. They got the first rick house going, but they build the first rick house, they build the second. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. That whole thing could flap. You know, could end up like another Foxconn. 4 months ago, so let's not. And then they talk about budget overruns, and I think Gene can back me up, at least in recent memory. I've been an executive officer and fire and EMS now for about 18 years, and I don't ever remember the commission ever going over budget.
Not as long as I've been on it.
No, but they're telling the taxpayer that this does not include budget overruns. So it's just misinformation. And we have talked about increased operating costs, and I believe I don't have those exact numbers with me, but we came up with right now it's about $32,000 a year to operate the station we have.
The estimate is
I do know
39.
it's $12,389 annual increase to projected for operating costs of the new station, the improved station. But that also has a 15% buffer figure in, as you recall, because we didn't want to give anybody any surprises. Now, solar pans out the way we were predicting solar may pan out, there's a chance we could knock another $6,000 to $7,000 off of that too. But right now, the increase in operating costs is projected to be $12,389. Now this is where their data and their facts get really dangerous. And then start talking about service calls, the cost per capita for the EMS services. And they have 2 paragraphs. The second paragraph, they cite a Wisconsin Policy Forum study. I'm assuming that the figures they're talking about in the first paragraph are from the same study. And in it they claim that Cambridge EMS was the only department listed with a net reduction in calls declining 17%. Now I do not doubt that report listed that very statement. There's no doubt in my mind, because that report is incredibly flawed. For one thing, that is only Jefferson County calls. I can state unequivocally that EMS calls during the period cited from 2016 to 2019 actually increased 22%. They went from 499 calls in 2016 to 611 calls in 2019. And during that span, if you recall, Bob Sayoff got injured skiing, and there was a whole chunk of time where that service was out of service, and they missed a bunch of calls. So I think that was 2019.
19.
So that number would have even been higher. So the Wisconsin Policy Forum, where this all starts falling apart, is there. But then also, they cite in that report that the budget for the Cambridge EMS was $728,000. That was the entire fire commission budget. Okay? That includes the cost of the fire department, the cost of the fire engines, the cost of the entire station, not just the EMS portion, the cost of the entire lawn maintenance, the entire fire commission budget. So the number they have per capita for Cambridge EMS is going to be way off. All right. Now, with that said, let's go. They cite 4 different services. The first one being Ryan Brothers, which is a paramedic level service like Cambridge, and they say the EMS cost per capita for Ryan Brothers is $31. Well, I have no statistics to say whether this is true or not. I really don't. So we're just going to assume that information is accurate. They state Lake Mills EMS, which is an advanced EMT service, what Cambridge used to be, is $44 per capita. They state that Whitewater EMS is $50 per capita, another advanced service, and then Cambridge comes in at $84 per person. As we discussed, that number is clearly high. I don't know what that actual number is, but it is a lot less than 84. All right, so Ryan Brothers covers Fort Atkinson, as you know, and they do a lot of interagency transfers. That's basically how they finance their service, and that's why the cost per capita can get down to 31, because they have these numerous hospital reimbursements. They have the luxury of having a hospital in their backyard. All right? The problem with that is that whenever they're on an interagency transfer, one of the mutual aid services has to come into Fort Atkinson and cover them. And if you've been following the newspaper, you know that Fort Atkinson Fire Department actually has emergency responders and an ambulance type rig, and they're actually responding covering for Ryan Brothers. And it's stressing them, and it's stressing Whitewater horribly during this pandemic, which we'll get to in a minute. Okay? So that's important to know. You know, and that's not information you're going to find in anything put out by the citizens here. Lake Mills EMS, they're an advanced level service for $44. We're just going to assume that's all true. Really nothing more to add to that other than they do not provide the level of care that Cambridge does, nor are they capable of it without mutual aid. Whitewater EMS at $50 per person. Well, I happen to know for a fact that the Whitewater EMS is substantiated heavily by a very generous foundation. Okay? So they have a whole bunch of volunteer and intern EMTs that they draw from the local college. They have a nice pool to recruit from that is funded through this foundation. Okay? So the Whitewater EMS number does not even include their full cost of labor, which, as we all know lately, is by far the biggest portion of the EMS budget here in Cambridge. And they also are having a problem right now with the fact that the college is closed down. They don't have the volunteer pool to recruit from anymore, same problem Cambridge does. And they're declining some of the mutual aid calls because they just can't afford it to cover for Ryan Brothers, for example. Then you have Cambridge. The numbers are wrong. We're a paramedic level service. But I will say this. As a taxpayer who's had to use that ambulance when my youngest daughter was an infant, $84 for paramedic level service for me, for my wife, for my 2 daughters in their home, times 4, that's a frickin' bargain. I pay it gladly anytime whatsoever.
Tim, I estimated what the EMS portion of that cost would be, and I came up with about $53 in this instead of 84. The other, the rest of that is fire.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this about all, I hear a lot of talk about emergency services budgets, like, you know, especially out of the village of Cambridge, and they talk about rising fire and EMS costs. You know what's never mentioned is what the existing cost of police protection was in all this. I think you'll find that the cost of police protection in a lot of these budgets is a heck of a lot more than fire and EMS is right now. I think you'll find that, and I'm not ripping on police by any stretch of the imagination, believe me, I support the police very much. But it costs money to have good services. Is Bruce here?
Oh, yeah. He's about ready to stand up.
Not a word with you.
No, you've been, my association with Cambridge Fire has been just outstanding all these years since I've been here, and I've been here 33 years.
How about the cost in general?
Yeah, your costs are compared to mine.
Okay. There you go. You ever had a feeling like somebody talking about something that's right behind you?
And
You
he's-
got mask on, but I can still see your eyeballs starting to
And I'm armed.
Okay. So then, their information actually about the meeting of the electors, that's all true as I understand it, correct?
Yes.
So that is binding. So that information is all true. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. And, you know, they may plan to stack it. I don't know. I would assume so. They seem to be pretty passionate about this project, but I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with electors showing up and speaking their thing. I just don't. So nothing bad to say about that. Then at the bottom, they say, please save and share this information. I have a huge problem with that. Because as I've just pointed out, line by line, there isn't a whole lot about this information that is wholly accurate, is there? And I don't know if you're thinking, well, do we have to take his word for it too? And it sucks that we're in this situation. I would encourage you not to take anybody's word for it and to do your own research. I think you'll find that my numbers are accurate. There's no doubt in my mind. I would not put my name on the line, not even a white line. All right, then at the bottom we have P.O. Box 192, Cambridge, Wisconsin 53583, and then they ask you to visit their website for more information. We have no idea who these people are, really. We have the name of a woman who's associated with the domain name, the P.O. Box, but we're not even sure she lives in Cambridge at the moment, and that's all we have. So that's very hard on morale because, by our very nature, we're kind of go-getter kind of people, and we're willing to confront an emergency head-on. We'd like to confront some people head-on, and we just don't have that ability. And the worst part about all this isn't it other than morale, because it's horrible on our morale. I mean, you should see people when this stuff comes out. You should see the people at our Monday night meeting. We're slogging through, we're going out to an old farmhouse to practice saving people, do a search and rescue training, that we're going to have to spend a week from Saturday burning down, in payment for that. And, it's like they got to hear about all this crap. And it's horrible. It'd be different, if it was like John Q. Public standing up at a meeting like this and stating that I am a member of the Citizens for Responsible Fire and EMS, and this is why I said all these things, but we're not getting that, are we? All right, and then I'm just going to end with this. So we spent a lot of time doing a lot of stuff that we don't like doing. Okay, we were all like Saturday morning. You know what I had to do for 2 hours? I went to your towns meeting virtually. Beautiful day, the last beautiful day we've had, and I spent it on a computer watching towns meeting, and getting a presentation which may have been helpful for you guys, but it's information I've known for decades. And we were there, Terry and I at the request of the team, and so now we can have a common conversation because we all have seen the same information, and that's important. But that's on top of this. And I spent basically the rest of my weekend dealing with this letter. And it is incredibly costly on volunteers to be having to spend our time now, our precious time, addressing this information. And you know what our audience is going to be? Probably not even 1% of what their mailing was. It's like deaf ears. We're having an open house tonight. I had to leave early to come down here to address you people, and there were 0 citizens. Yet that's another hour and a half out of all these volunteers' time down there. Plus we had that training last night. We had to wash all the trucks when we got home because it's snowing out. Had to clean the bays up once again. And there are things that other departments are doing that we would never spend money on. For example, there's a wash bay for fire trucks at the Fort Atkinson station. You'll never see that in Cambridge. We rigged up a piece of PVC with a whirly gig on the end of it that we can reach underneath trucks with to spray out the bottom, trying to get, the bang for buck for the taxpayer. And the trucks will last, and we're making them last 20 or 30 years. You can't do better than that. And then modern trucks cost a lot more. They're probably not going to last as long. But when we're talking $6.5 million for this project, and by the time this project is even half through its lifespan, let's say at the 25-year mark, the trucks that it's protecting and the ambulances that it's protecting are going to cost a hell of a lot more than the building itself. You've all seen the projections. That's true too.
Okay, Tim, any questions from the board? Tim covered a lot.
Are you guys going to send out a letter respond to this, Tim?
So I made a video where I went through the letter line by line Sunday. It was me, So as you can imagine, there's a lot of editing. So, and, we don't have much of a promotion budget, so, this is all done with volunteers, so we're on their schedule, so. Guy who filmed it for us sent it out to a buddy who's working in Texas, and he's doing the editing, and we were hoping to have it, Monday, and it's Tuesday, now we're hoping for Tuesday night. So, again, that'll be put up on our website and on our, Facebook page, but you've gotta have the audience for that. So whether or not that's gonna be seen is not, mailing, by the time we got that together and out, let alone the cost of the mailing, we don't have that in our budget, our promotional budget, we can't do 2 mailings. So we've just got another informational mailing coming out toward the end, and, I don't know that we have the time or energy to address this group.
Yeah, the plan is to do a mailing toward the end of the month, so it's fresh in their minds when they go to the polls. Basically, Oakland resident is heading that thing up, so with the help of.
To point people to the video,
Yeah, so throughout this whole campaign, we've told people to check out the videos, the information pages, everything we put on our Facebook page and our website. I'm gonna be honest with you, when I'm out there talking to the public, they've all got opinions, but nobody's watched it. I think probably our most thorough audience on the videos, especially the ones by Keller, are probably this group here. And did I talk about TVs and stuff in the bedrooms?
Oh, what?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
That's what happened. It's in the video though, I'm not gonna read them.
If
But
you're
it's
not-
just a conceptual thing.
If you're not going to respond to the letter in the Cambridge News, then I'd at least put something in about the video on the website in the Cambridge News to try to get more people to watch
Well,
it.
that's great, except we're not the editor of the Cambridge News.
No, but they'll print what you have to say, right?
She's been helpful, yes. I mean, we don't claim to have, nor would we ever say that she prints what we want to say. She wouldn't. She's a newspaper editor.
Yeah, we shouldn't be debating that here, probably.
No, but so I used to be a newspaper reporter, so I'm defending her too. I mean, we shouldn't have a blank check, a rubber stamp with the newspaper. That would be inappropriate.
No, I'm just saying to point them to your website if they want more
So-
information, not any kind of opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion, if we want to do that we should be buying advertising space to do that, and we can't. But that's my honest opinion. I like your idea, but the true fact of the matter is that should be, paid advertising.
Could be just a letter to the editor, right?
She's been pretty good. She pointed out both this website and our websites in an article a few weeks back. I think it was on the op-ed page. And she was in for an interview with Terry and I believe that's coming up tomorrow, the story that generates. There was a teaser last week, I believe, that said I think she said she's gonna cover both sides of the story. So I don't know where the other side is. I mean, maybe she knows who the people in this group are. And
I talked to her yesterday, and she has no idea who they are.
we
and-
all have ideas.
Yeah, but
I know one person was seen putting up a poster, and, they've got that. I think if you I looked at people that were at our Q&A, our very poorly attended virtual Q&A meeting a while back. And I saw who was there, and I looked at their Facebook pages, so, I have a good idea who some of the people are. I tried to do an informational search on a 501(c), assuming that they probably have a lawyer at some point, and they are a legitimate 501(c). So the IRS has a portal where you can search for them. I couldn't figure exactly what their name was at first, so I tried a bunch of different searches, and nothing was coming up. And then I see a statement from the IRS saying that their search portal is only accurate up to April of 2020 because they haven't been able to address anything more because, as we all know, the IRS staffing got gutted. So I have no, and that's when I went back to work. So I have no way of
Okay, well, thanks, Tim. Appreciate you taking the time to
Thank you, Tim.
Yep, thanks.
fill us in.
And if, you have any more questions, think of afterward, you know how to get a hold of us. But please don't call 911 unless it's an emergency.
Thanks again, Tim.
So when are the open houses?
Tonight, next Tuesday, and the following Tuesday, 6 to 8:30
At the station?
at the station. Okay, next item is approved minutes from the February 23rd, 2021 meeting.
Chris, I have one correction. Next to last paragraph, discussion, possible action on Schedule C.
Mm-hmm.
But on the third line, after supervisor, the video, I think you,
Yeah. I see it.
Where you at? Bottom?
you moved something instead of old.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
I
You
got
gotta
it.
put C on there, or M?
M.
M, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Move acceptance.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the February 23rd meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Police chief's report. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Well, the last few weeks have been somewhat busy for the guys, and I have traffic is up in volume. Had some scams coming in, people getting emails from unknown sources that aren't verifiable. We got one, the headline on the email sent to a couple of possible victims, fortunately they caught it, was that their car registration was overdue and they needed $365. And it's coming from a site called Altmail, ALTMAIL, with a contact of, and I love this name, killinsum2112@icloud.com. It is a false site. It is a phishing scam. People are losing money out on it. It's going overseas, and once money goes overseas, our trail ends. But for the people out there, if you get anything in an email, if it looks like a scam, smells like a scam, it's a scam. Don't answer it, don't open it, please. And these are common throughout the state of Wisconsin, probably the nation. When they start asking for money over your email and they want your bank accounts, no, don't do it. And that. Drug Task Force has been busy in the town since my last report, looking at just the quarterly report. They executed a search warrant next door here in one of the units yesterday afternoon. It's still open investigation. There's dominoes that are falling apparently, so I'm glad to see they're in our little hamlet doing some work. Made me happy when I got a call from the detective sergeant, so I'm happily awaiting to hear what all else comes out of that and who we remove from our township. It makes me happy. Speaking of removing things, well, our residents still down here are still here. They have not been active at all, so things are good down on the sexual assault front, I guess, if you want to call it that way. Ran the officers through some pretty intense training on active shooters. Last week with our joint training, we did a training up at the old Hamlin building up in Lake Mills. I never realized how big that building was on the inside. I was talking with Chief Miller from the town of Lake Mills, and I said, this would be a great place to put in an indoor gun range, rifle range. It would cost too many millions of dollars to do it. But we used just the office portion. And we took our officers for the last 3 years. We've been working them pretty hard on active shooter, responding with outside agencies, teaming up how to do their entries, etc. We ran them in this week totally cold. They were dispatched from Lake Mills Police Department to that facility. And then they were, basically graded at that point. We watched them come in. How did they set up? How were they going to breach a door if they didn't have breaching tools? What were your options? A lot of good information shared with them. A lot of them remembered a lot of the stuff that we've been complaining with them about, jumping on their case about, telling them, hey guys, remember this. This is how you do an entry. This is how you do this and that. We did get a little media coverage out of it. I don't know where the reporter came from. Chief Selk from the city of Lake Mills arranged that. I kept my fingers out of that. It was his call, his setup. So I'm happy to say that our guys did really well, and they didn't shoot the hostage or the bad guy. So they got him down without any extra unwanted needs. We were using airsoft and using actors for force-on-force training, which is always the best force in law enforcement. So got to report that the guys did real well, and I was very proud of them up there in general. Other than that, the squad car has got a funny noise coming from up in the front end. I've got a pit in my stomach thinking it might have something to do with the four-wheel drive, but I'm not 100% certain. So the squad is down right now. I took it out of service yesterday. Joey Ruprecht will be taking it into Griffin Ford Thursday morning, and then he'll get in touch with me, tell me what exactly is going on, or they will call me directly. It's due for brakes anyhow, so we're going to get the brakes taken care of on the back end. Whatever is coming up in the front.
That's still under warranty?
No,
No?
no,
How long have we had that?
we've had that for 5 years.
Oh, been that
5 or
long?
6 years. Yeah, oh, we've had it for a
Oh,
while.
yeah. It might
So we'll see what it is. I told him to give me a call. I am going to be out of state Thursday. I'm getting down to Canton, Ohio, but I will be available by phone, and Joe knows to call me, or Griffin will call me as soon as they've got something so I can see what's going on. But other than that, that's all I got. Life is good. Well, I'm doing background investigations for boat patrol officers. I only had 3 candidates. Did a background check with one. Not overly excited. I'm hoping the other 2 will give me more excitement in life, but we'll see how that goes. And that's time consuming, but that's it from my end.
Questions for Steve? Okay, thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.
Bruce? Thanks, Bruce.
You warmed them up. I warmed them up.
Okay, road supervisor.
Well, hopefully this was the last of the snow, because if it's not, there's not much road budget left then, because we should have plowed that up this year. The salt price going up and the amount of times we had to plow was during overtime on weekends instead of the normal time, so that all adds up. Now we're on to potholes and trees, and there's plenty of potholes out there. When we do our road tour, we're gonna see if we do it. I don't know what the COVID restrictions. We have a lot of edges breaking up, so we're gonna be concentrating on that this summer as repairs. That mastic that I did last summer as a test spot, I'm very pleased with it. Held up very good during the winter, so we've added probably 5 to 8 years onto that stretch of road, so we shouldn't have to worry about that for a while. I got an email today. As you see, the gas prices are going up, so are all the road repair products. And they have not, they guarantee a price for 30 days, that's it. So they're getting pretty strict on that. But that's gonna drive up our asphalt prices as well. So the sooner we can get our bids done, the better we're gonna be.
Crack ceiling?
Yes, got a lot of that to do. We're gonna be doing some on Ripley. There is some cracks that are developing. I like to wait 2 years, but it's been longer than 2 years. We didn't really see any big cracks. They're all really surface cracks. Them are, for the most part, harmless. You gotta wait for them to get a little bit deeper, and they're starting to get that way, so we're gonna hit that either this spring or late fall. Depending on the weather and all the other things that come up. With the boating season coming up, that fence never got, the privacy fence down by the public boat launch, I'm gonna bring that to the board with some bids hopefully next month.
Is that the privacy fence that goes on the east side of the road there, right?
Yep, that real long one.
I mean, we also talked about enclosing the new dumpsters with a fence that we used to have enclosed.
Yes.
Was a swing door?
Yeah, we'd have to make that bigger.
Right.
We'd have to encroach into the turning area.
That's something we're still thinking about, or no?
Well, Badgerland does make a smaller dumpster, so that's another option we can have down there. And unfortunately with dumpster, I don't know a lot of fishermen are using it. We get a lot of other traffic that uses it. I mean, I don't know, down there's a bunch of pallets now. I don't know if fishermen were using pallets during ice fishing. I mean, I don't see they had a need, but We
Is
have a
your,
lot
is
of
your plan to leave the existing fence there?
That would probably get a new one as well,
Okay.
around there, because that one's getting pretty shabby too.
So leaving the front open and replace the part on the back?
Yes, or, there's different options. I'm gonna go over some options with the gentleman or lady, different companies. So, just so you got a heads up with that. When Susan comes back, she was doing some information on what this next round of funding was through this federal money. And I will see now that it's passed, what it looks like for us.
That might be a little while before we find that out. They discussed that at the meeting that I attended last Friday.
Okay?
The House version, this was for Mike Colas's town of 1100 where he lives. The House numbers, that town would get 172
Yeah.
thousand, and the Senate numbers, using some other kind of math, they were going to get 112. So the math isn't figured out yet.
Is it math?
Yeah. So, but we will probably see that this summer. So what it's going to amount to, I don't know. The other thing that's going to come down, and we should start thinking about this, is shovel-ready projects.
Yes. That'd be nice to know what their criteria is.
Yeah.
Are they looking for something more public used, like down by the marina, for example, that road. Island Lane, because, that's for recreation, and
Right.
I don't know if that's a key into it or not.
Well,
Businesses.
we have the preliminary work done for Park Road,
Yes,
but that was a complete rebuild.
yes.
And what we were thinking, what you and I had talked about, is a grind off a couple inches, because that's got a pretty good base, and put a new overlay on it.
There's a lot of drainage that has to be done on Park Road, isn't there?
Yeah,
What's
so
that?
that pretty much
There's a lot of drainage things that have to happen there too, isn't
Well,
there?
that's the project we had submitted for that big project,
Right.
and we didn't get that. But
Yeah, that was almost $750,000, wasn't it?
$750,000, yeah.
Is that one we could do the drainage first and then the road, or do you want to wait for a grant to try to get it all?
If you were gonna do that, you'd probably do the whole thing at
Same
one
time.
time.
Yeah, because it'll be disturbing
Yeah.
the road as well as,
You wouldn't hardly be able to put the drainage in there without disturbing the road. I mean, the road's gonna get tore up pretty good for that stretch.
Yep.
And that's about a quarter mile, I believe, or maybe not quite, but
pretty close, yeah.
pretty much all the way from Skogan down to the creek.
Yep.
Okay, any questions for Jeff?
Oh, one final note, the salt brine, I have real good results with this year. I'm very pleased with what
Good.
each time a storm we went out, that truck alone was used the way I set it up. Never did any changes as far as the amount of salt I put down. I set it at a low number, close to what I was last year, but it was a new system, so it didn't exactly put out what I did last year. It did a little less, and I was using a ton to a half a ton less each snowfall. So at $86 a ton, it starts adding up.
Yeah. Plus it stays on the road.
Yes, and I know exactly when that tank runs out, because the salt bounce is amazing. You go from no bounce to crazy bounce. It's amazing. So,
Good, glad that's working.
yes,
It's healthier for the lake too.
yes. Keeps it on the road, let it work, and then
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Clerk Treasurer's report.
I have a real quick report before we get into what we have listed. Ballots for the April election arrived yesterday afternoon, and about a little over a quarter of them have been mailed out today. The rest will be mailed out tomorrow. So we have 211 absentee ballot requests on file that I'm fulfilling right now. Susan will help me with that tomorrow when she gets back. Susan gets back tomorrow. And other than that, I mean, the past few weeks, I mean, Jeannie and I have talked about this too. The past few weeks have been actually pretty quiet in the office, so it's been a good time to catch up on some things that were pushed aside because of the election. But the election is 3 weeks from today. Polls will be open from 7 to 8. There isn't a lot on the ballot. There are some significant races on there, but there's not a lot quantity-wise. Everybody's got the state superintendent. Everybody's got the town board seats. Everybody's got the referendum for the fire station, and then each school district has 1 or 2 seats up for the school board. And then in 60 days at this time, I will officially be a master's completed student, and I am freaking out. Because I'm just like, my project is huge, and I'm deep in it right now, so if I seem a little distracted over the next couple of months, that's why. But it's getting real now, so that's all I got.
You're not going to flunk out.
I'm not going to flunk out. I know that much. But
But the 4-0?
it's golden. I can't screw it up. It's golden. So.
Set dates.
Oh yeah. So and then and John is still here. John and I talked a couple of weeks ago about setting the dates for open book and board of review. I think I emailed them to you just as kind of a preview, but we wanted to have open book on Friday, April 16th from 10 to noon. That would be right here, obviously. John would be here. You guys are not required to be here. And then board of review, we're looking at May 19th we just picked 5 to 7, but that time certainly can be flexible earlier or later. But just, with requirements for postings and publishings, they have to be at least 15 days apart. John actually suggested a day before I graduated, and I asked him politely if we could move it till after I graduate, just because I have a lot of stuff going on, so that's why it's a little bit later than it normally would be, but we're both cool with these dates, and as long as there is one of the six of us trained for Board of Review currently, we're fine. The Board of Review training video, I hope will be out soon. So for anybody who's not, we can certainly do that, but is somebody, you were trained last year? Then we're good for this year, so.
What if I'm not going to be here? No, I was.
Then we would have a problem, but.
No, we were contemplating some things, but our schedules changed. So
Okay.
I will be here for the 19th.
So do those dates work for everybody? I guess does the 19th, May 19th work for everybody?
Yes.
That's the day after the board meeting.
Yes.
That is the day after the board meeting, yes.
A Wednesday.
Yes, a Wednesday. Yes, I see hand
Fine,
nods.
yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just check
yeah,
my
yeah.
calendar.
Okay.
Just put it on.
So May 19th from 5 to 7 will be Board of Review then, right here. And that is all I have.
Okay, questions for Chris? If not, discussion and possible action on setting a date for the town road review. Last year, if I recall, Jeff, you and I went, and then we asked others to go on their own. You want to do that again this year?
Sure.
We ought to do that soon, so we can determine.
I think you guys went, and then you kind of gave us a couple to go look at.
Actually,
You guys can do that
Gene,
again.
it was Jeff and I.
Pardon me?
It was Jeff and I that did
Was
that.
Was it you
last
and,
year.
you and Jeff?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I sent the notice out to everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was.
So you were doing something else, so.
I'm good with that. I don't care. I mean, I got more stuff going right now than,
Yeah, if you're busy, I'll be happy to coordinate with Jeff and then send it to everybody else like we did last year.
you'll have your 2 shots by then, so
I am caught up tomorrow. Tomorrow I get my second, so
good.
I'll be good, I think.
Because I'm not due for my second until the 5th.
Yeah. Jeff, are you okay working with me?
Yes,
Okay,
it worked out well last year.
yeah.
Now to remind
reminded me and refreshing my memory.
Well, I know some of you older guys have difficulties with that.
So I don't remember what we did. Did we have, just on the regular board meeting, we discussed that then, or did we have a special?
No, Ted notified everybody on what they had determined, and then we were to go and look at them ourselves.
Right,
Those-
I remember that, but
And then we
decided.
And then at the next board meeting, we decided what to do.
Yeah, we came up with
We may
a,
want to do that
list.
at the April 1st meeting, because that, I got a feeling the annual meeting is, might get a little contentious.
Okay.
okay.
So let's plan on opening road bids, and then we can also determine what we're going to put out for bids on the 1st.
Yeah, I'll put that on the agenda for it.
Okay. Okay, the next item, discussion and possible action on bids from MyTech for Wolf Beach Road. We had a little, got a little crossways, and they had a misunderstanding as to when we wanted those bids back. So they will be back on April 1st, and that's the day we'll call a special meeting and determine what we're going to do with that.
We don't have the bids in
No, they will be coming here though, so I'll have hopefully I'll have a stack, but whatever we get will be here.
And that's at 2 o'clock.
Yes, the bid opening is at 1, so if you want to be there for that, it's public, it's not like it's a secret, but the board meeting will be at 2. So, right now I have Ted, Jean, and Joy confirmed, so we have
What
at
day
least
is it?
3.
What day?
April 1st, and that's no joke.
I'll be gone. I'm going to be in
Okay.
Tennessee.
Have fun.
What time?
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock board meeting, 1 o'clock bid opening.
And you'll get
And
in
that's when
the,
you're going to discuss the roads?
Yes.
yeah,
Or you're going
Yeah.
to,
that's when you'll be sending a.
Yes, I'll send an email to everybody.
Well,
Agenda.
Yeah, you can
And all
email
that good
your stuff in before.
But the only
so.
2 items on that agenda will be awarding the road bids for the bids that we received, and then talking about what we want to bid out for Oakland's roads.
so, but the plan itself, the work to be done is here and we can view it.
Yes, yes.
I know
Ted helped me
Me
find
and
it the
Ted
other
talked
day.
about that a few times.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We got all the diagrams.
Ted and Ted. talked about
Yeah.
it a few times.
Yeah.
So anybody can come and look at the plan.
Oh, absolutely.
The drainage work,
Yeah.
all that can be looked at.
It's all here.
now. Just the bid hasn't been approved.
Yep.
And you have to memorize that book too.
Is it that
Jimmy.
thick?
It's
about
thick.
that thick,
yeah.
Jesus.
It's thick.
We'll have a test on that, you know.
Yeah.
No, he did a nice job with the drainage. I'm very pleased with what they came up with there.
Yeah, there
And-
wasn't a lot of options of.
No, there wasn't. But it,
Have you seen before the 1st?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you can come and see it right away now.
Anytime that the office is open, stop in.
Don't need an appointment?
Don't need an appointment.
No, just come on down, you can
Come on
do the
down.
whole packet, and
Yep.
obviously you're interested in probably your corner, in the corner next to you, you can help them find the corner.
Yeah.
We actually already marked the pages, so.
Okay.
um,
My understanding is it cuts over before your driveway.
Yeah,
Goes across.
that's what he thought. Thank you for that.
okay, in correspondence, the court docket is in there. There was no plan committee meeting last month, so we
Yep.
don't have any minutes for that.
Nope.
Next item is approval of disbursements.
I'll make a motion that we approve the disbursements beginning with electronic funds transfer to Wisconsin Retirement System. Here and including electronic funds transfer to the Wisconsin Department of Revenue in the aggregate amount of $201,923.37.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's made and second to approve disbursements in the amount of $201,923.37. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next meeting date, April 1st at 2 o'clock, and following that, regular board meeting and annual meeting, April 20th. The annual meeting will be first, the board meeting will follow immediately after. Any questions?